What is up, Hawk fans? We are going to be reacting to Iowa's season-saving, Big Ten tournament position-saving victory over rival Nebraska Cornhuskers. So let me start here. Because this has been a really tough season. I don't want to always just pound the negative over and over and over and over again. I want to be as balanced as I can and give credit where credit is due, regardless of the circumstances, when Iowa does do some positive things. So number one, it's always good to pick up a victory against your rival. Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa State. Unfortunately, Iowa didn't get that. They didn't get the Wisconsin game. And then, of course, they did lose to Minnesota at home this year. And obviously, basketball is a bit different than football. You don't... The rivalries that you have in football do not always carry over in the exact same manner and same degree in basketball. But by and large, they are the same rivalries. I mean, Duke, North Carolina just played, and, they are rivals in football as well to the same degree. No. But it's still a good victory to pick up all the same. And it makes it all the much sweeter. It really does. That Iowa football defeated Nebraska in the exact same manner that they defeated them the year prior on a last-second field goal, okay? And then this year, Iowa defeats them twice in the same year, and their second victory leads them to not be included in the Big Ten tournament, especially a game that they were definitely favored in. And quite frankly, Nebraska, while I wouldn't say that they are like a guaranteed NCAA tournament team, they're not. I'm not as familiar with their net ranking. Last I checked, I think they're either right above Iowa, a few spots above Iowa. Maybe I'll check it out here in a second. But they were better positioned for the NCAA tournament than Iowa was. I mean, if they were able to make the Big Ten tournament and maybe pick up a few victories. Let's see, I got it pulled up here. Nebraska is 57. So they are absolutely on the outside looking in. But with a victory over Iowa, they could have maybe jumped, two, three spots, depending on some victories or losses from other teams. And then, like I said, getting into the Big Ten tournament, if they were able to defeat Ohio State, who is 36, that would definitely be a quad one victory on a neutral site. And then, maybe win one more game. You never know. That is the one good thing about the new format is you pretty much are guaranteed, if you make the NCAA tournament and you win at least one game, to pick up a quad one or quad two victory, which, I guess you could make the case that that's more or less the same without the current format. But you could have a situation in the latter format where the last place team is rated 80th in the net, and they have the game of their life in the first round, and you get them in the next round and defeat them, but they're still rated 80th. So, but this way, the top 13 Big Ten teams, I mean, the Big Ten is really strong this year collectively as far as the net rankings go. You're pretty much going to have, if you're able to get a Big Ten victory, it's going to be a decent victory. So anyways, in theory, they had, I would say, a little bit more to play for than Iowa. Not much, but a little bit. But it just makes it all the more sweet. They lose to Iowa in football. They're sitting at, when they lost to Iowa, I think they were 5-6. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe they were 6-6. No, they were 6-6 when they lost to Iowa. And then they defeated Boston College in a bowl game. So that's good. Obviously, it's good that Iowa picked up a road victory. Too little, too late, unfortunately. But better late than never, I guess. I mean, it's too little, too late, obviously, but still, if I am looking for ways to give credit where credit is due, picking up a road victory in definitely a hostile road environment at Nebraska, loud Sunday morning, afternoon crowd. Iowa, to me, they showed the most toughness that they've shown all year long in this victory. Definitely on the road. Maybe the Rutgers game. But honestly, I would say, because I think Nebraska is rated higher than Rutgers, this is going to be a quad one victory for Iowa, because quad one is road victories 1 through 75. So, credit where credit is due on that. It's too little, too late. But at the very least, it happened, and I want to point that out. And for what it's worth, as I said, I do think that this was a game that they showed the most toughness. And secondly, overall, and this is one of the main points that I want to make, I do think that this game was one of the most complete performances from Iowa defensively, offensively, rebounding that we have seen. I don't know if it's the most complete, but it's up there. You look at the quality of opponent. Is Nebraska an elite team? No, but they're not a terrible team. They're an above average team, I'd say. Average to above average team. Any team that's, I would say, top 75, top 75, top 85 in the net, I would categorize as above average. I know some of you guys like to morph it to, are they an above average Power 4 team when compared to all the other Power 4 teams? And that's fair. I think that that's valid in some circumstances. But in the end, the committee is looking at the NCAA as a whole. And so that's what I try to do as well. So I think that this was Iowa's most complete performance. And before we get to the team stats here, I do want to point out that Iowa, and I've already pointed it out in previous videos, Iowa has done a much better job of rebounding the ball in recent games. Have they been perfect? No, but it's been much better, way more consistent in competing on the glass. But whether leading in rebounds between the two teams or being like within one to 3 rebounds, to me, it's okay to lose the rebounding battle if it's within a couple of rebounds. But at any more than like 5 rebounds, and you pretty much got totally worked on the glass. So Iowa has done a much better job of that, and that deserves credit. All right, let's go to the team stats here. Josh Dix, 15 points. He was really strong in the second half. I continue to think that he's Iowa's best player. It's just tough because in Fran McCaffrey's system and program, we've kind of consistently seen this situation where there's an older player that is like the best player from last year's team, but there might be an up-and-coming player that is more talented but still has to take the back seat as far as jockeying for shots and who is truly the go-to guy. To me, pretty much from last year, I was willing to give Peyton Sandfort a shot at making strides over the offseason when the beginning of the season was rolled around. But I do believe Josh Dix is the best player. He's actually on some people's draft boards in the second round. And I guarantee he will test the NBA draft waters. I don't expect him to leave. He is a guy that Iowa fans need to, regardless of what happens with Fran McCaffrey, that's a different situation. And I know they are related, but just speaking on Josh Dix, he's going to be a guy that Iowa's going to have to ensure that they hold on to because, man, it would suck if after all this development and Iowa, not that he was like, Iowa was his only offer. They weren't. I mean, they were not. He had some decent offers, Wake Forest, places like that. But he also wasn't like a 4-star commit. Iowa gets him. They take a shot on him. They show interest. They develop him. And his senior year, the culmination of all his talent and skill, he decides to take that talent and skill elsewhere. I hope that is not the case. Plus, I do think Iowa, for the first time under the Fran McCaffrey era, or in the Fran McCaffrey era, assuming Fran McCaffrey comes back, and again, I'm going to do that video as soon as Iowa's final game commences for the regular season. And I do think I'm going to do it for the regular season when the regular season is done. Well, I know the regular season is done. I mean, like after the Big Ten tournament. Even if Iowa makes the NIT tournament, I'm still going to make this video before that. But this is going to be the first time that Iowa would have such a lethal combination of a big that is talented and can be dominant in Owen Freeman and a guard that is equally strong and dominant. At times we've had small forwards, shooting guard, small forwards, Peter Jock or Aaron White, Jared Utoff that are really strong, or just a Luka Garza. We've never had it where it's, the closest would be maybe Jordan Bohannon, but everybody knows that Jordan Bohannon was really like this. And his biggest skill set was his ability to make big shots rather than being a consistent scorer and offensive threat throughout the game. So anyways, Peyton Sandfort had 22 points, 8 rebounds. Lajai Dembele, 6 points, 4 rebounds. Drew Thelwell, 6 points. 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Seydou Traore, 0 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. It's still kind of surprising to me that Seydou Traore, well, it's not surprising because he is more athletic and Fran McCaffrey is trying to insert athleticism and a more defensive-minded guy into the roster. And for what it's worth, I think that these minutes will prove invaluable for next year in his development because there's a good chance that he will be a starter next year as well. But Iowa's going to have to decide whether it's him or Lajai Dembele. I think Price Sandfort is going to slide in where Peyton Sandfort was the starter next year. So that they're going to have to get that worked out. Speaking of Price Sandfort, he had 16 points, 11 rebounds. If there's one, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If there's been one bright spot this year, it has been the development of Price Sandfort. And I continue to say that I like his game a little bit better than Peyton Sandfort. I think he's more well-rounded. They do have some similarities, obviously, in their shot-making ability, but I think he's a more versatile player. He's a little bit more athletic. He has a little bit better ball handling and passing skills. So that is good. Brock Harding hit some big shots in the second half. A few three-pointers. It's good to see his three-point shot start to develop. 12 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. And Evan Bronze had 6 points. Team stats. Iowa shot 49%. They held Nebraska to 35% shooting. Excellent. 3-point percentage, 39-22, favor of Iowa. Free throw percentage, Iowa shot 58.8%. They were 10 of 17. That's the one low point of this game for Iowa. That's inexcusable. They should never. There's no reason they cannot consistently shoot above 65%. I would say 70%, but just to be generous, 65%. Below that is absurd. Nebraska shot 78%, 18-23. Total rebounds, 43-42 in favor of Iowa. 12 offensive rebounds to 15 in favor of Nebraska. Defensive rebounds, 31-27 in favor of Iowa. Assists, 18-13 in favor of Iowa. Blocks, 2-2. Steals, 5-3 in favor of Iowa. And Iowa had one less turnover, 4-5 than Nebraska. But, the rebounding, again, some of it is lineup changes, obviously. Seydou Traore, Evan Bronze getting more minutes. But at the end of the day, and I've told you guys this time and time and time again, it is all about mentality and desire. And you can have, Charles Barkley has been known to say that many, many times. Rebounding is all about desire. Yes, athleticism, size definitely helps. But when you're at this level, the Division I level, they're all pretty athletic, okay? And what can make all the difference is that little bit of effort, that little bit more desire to get that board or make that bit of effort to chase down the loose ball, or that little bit of added physicality to get the rebound. So Iowa has done a much better job of that. It's too little, too late, unfortunately. But I would say it's been a combination of both things, desire as well as some lineup changes. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. It was a good victory. Iowa's going to be playing Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament. We'll see what can happen there. You never know what can happen. Like I said, this is definitely a quad one victory for Iowa. They finished with one quad one victory in the regular season. They were 1-15. They had 15 opportunities. And that's why, even though their record is 16-15, they're not terribly rated. It's because they do actually have a decently tough schedule, both regular and non-con. Just some closing thoughts. Yes, this regular season was not what I anticipated. This has been the only season in my content creation time that I have been incorrect in my assessment of Iowa basketball. I am almost always spot on, but I have to give credit where credit is due and just be honest. I was wrong. I was wrong about their ability to improve defensively. I was wrong about their rebounding ability. Now, I will say that some of this is out of my control. Obviously, Fran McCaffrey's rotation decisions, injuries, which injuries definitely did plague Iowa this year, and they're going to have to take a look at that in the offseason if there's something that they are or are not doing that is adding to the increased possibility of their players being injured. So But it's, with that said, it's good that Iowa in the first year of this new conference situation did not miss the Big Ten tournament. That would have been terribly embarrassing for Iowa to, in the first year, be one of the first teams that didn't make the Big Ten tournament in the new format. So thankfully that's not the case. At least they finished with an above 500 record. That's, better than nothing. I know they finished 7-13, but it can be worse. I mean, and it has been worse. 7-13, a few games here or there, and the record looks a lot different. I know. Still, with that said, 7-13, I have to look at the results. It's not great. What did Fran McCaffrey's worst team do? I mean, in, what was it, 2017-18, they were 4-14 in the Big Ten, and 14-19 overall. So, it definitely can be worse. I don't say that to say that we should not give a good hard look at Fran McCaffrey, because we should. And the bottom line is they did not meet expectations this year. They took a step back, and the team should not have taken that big of a step back, especially when you take into consideration who they had returning, what they lost. You will never convince me that losing Tony Perkins was that big of a loss. Yes, it was a loss, but not that big of a loss to where Iowa took this big of a step back. Was Ben Krikke that good? I don't think so. He was solid, but not that good to where, Iowa had a bulk of their roster back. So things do definitely need to be evaluated. So, but again, I'm trying to take some positives and put them forward just to give a balanced take. And so, yeah. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think. Does this win do anything for you? I have a impending feeling that it probably does not. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the exact same about Fran McCaffrey and this Iowa basketball team, and I totally understand. For the most part, I do too. But again, I would advise and encourage to try and look for the positives where you can, just as much as looking at the negatives, so that you can have a holistic view and opinion on this particular situation. All right, guys, I will see you guys next time. DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, our feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.